Women divorce men 70 to 80% of the time. I would argue in relationships, it's probably similar. Men aren't leaving, women are. So to a guy's point of view, he's going to commit to this girl. And what does he get? He doesn't get purity anymore. These hoes. He doesn't get youth anymore. So he doesn't get either of those things. A lot of times she already has a kid. So he's not fulfilling his mating strategy. On top of that, even if he does find a good woman that maybe has the qualities he's looking for, she was going to want him to marry her. And what does he get out of that? Oh, she can leave and take half and take my kid. And she's paid to take my kids away from me. She gets more money if she takes my children. And so from the men's point of view, they're just kind of like, F it, because like women aren't wives nowadays. And what do they get out of it?
But
like men are logical. Sorry. They're logical people. And so they're thinking, does the benefit outweigh the cost? And like, I just think as women, we have to look at ourselves and say, the benefits we bring nowadays don't outweigh the cost for most men.
So, Kathy, I have to say that when I heard that, I mean, some of the language Pearl uses is kind of crass, and she doesn't describe, obviously, all women. She's playing on a stereotype. But I have to say, when she was talking, I related to certain things. Part of that was, I felt really resentful during my divorce from my kid's mom, thinking, so let me get this straight. Without any real reason, we have no-fault divorce now. She can decide to divorce me. She can take away my kids and prevent me from being part of their lives for at least half of the time. And let's be real, more often than not, significantly more than half the time. And she can send me a bill every month and make me pay for the privilege when I didn't even want the divorce. And, I felt really resentful that she can take my kids away and she gets more support money for taking my kids away. And I did feel that. Why is it? Because Pearl's statistic is right. 80-some% of divorces are initiated by the woman. I mean, if that is so, why is it so? Is it because men are just inherently jerks? No, I'll be really honest, Kathy. If I could have divorced my former wife, taken the kids from her, and forced her to send me money every month, I probably would have divorced her way earlier. My point is not that she's a bad woman or anything like that. It was really that the incentives built into the divorce system all favor the woman. You can hear people talk all the time about how, oh no, men do better financially after the divorce and the woman does worse. It's not really true. If a man has to be responsible for 2 households, he's paying through the nose, and then he remarries and has another wife that expects to be supported, is he really doing better? I know a lot of men that are stretched to the breaking point. Honestly, if I hadn't been a Latter-day Saint with really strong family values and really wanting the dream of the temple marriage that lasts forever, I think I could have been jaded enough to say, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm giving her all the power. I'm giving her the right to take my kids and charge me money for it. I understand why some men feel this way. Now, where I take issue with Pearl, I think, is the idea that all women are willing to just kick you to the curb and take your kids and demand money for it. I mean, I think there's a lot of women who don't think that way. And I think you have told me the same thing, that you didn't really want to take the kids away from their dad. And so I don't think all women meet the description that Pearl, she says literally, there's no women out there anymore that aren't hoes and, gold diggers. And, so I think, she's using inflammatory rhetoric to describe a stereotype that isn't true of all women. And you got to take what she says with a grain of salt.
Well, and we watched more than these 2 videos in preparation for this. And there was one where she was just going on and on and on about how unworthy women are of men and using all of that inflammatory language. And I'm thinking, she's giving absolutely no responsibility to the men who make women hoes.
Well, and
has always been very unfair.
What I think she would say is that the system in our society doesn't favor marriage. It doesn't encourage men to commit because they commit and they kind of get stuck to the tar baby. They're putting themselves in a position to get royally screwed over. And so they have promiscuous and casual relationships instead of committed relationships.
So it's okay for them, but not the woman. The woman needs to be called names.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay for either of them, and I don't think she should be calling them hoes and things like that. I mean, there's just as many man hoes as women hoes out there.
Yeah, let's be fair
And that's
about
where
it.
I take issue with Pearl.
If we're gonna use those words, let's be fair.
I mean, the stereotype has some basis in fact. It also paints with a very broad brush, and I don't think most women are really the way that she says. But there are enough of them that the stereotype exists. And by the way, we could find equivalent stereotypes for men which also have a basis in reality. So,
Well, actually, when I was listening to you, I felt a lot of compassion for you and for men in your position. And I also could relate from a woman's perspective to what I experienced. I was one of those 20 to 30% of women the man left me.
right.
And he took the kids away from me. Now,
I've sometimes joked, Kathy, you're a man.
you mean in that way?
Yeah, that your reaction is often the reaction men have.
Oh, how, in what way?
I didn't choose this. I didn't even want it. And, now he's telling me to get a full-time job and I've never had one. And he insisted that I didn't have one when we were married. And,
The unfairness.
the unfairness of now I've got all these new responsibilities based on someone else's decision and they're making me pay for breaking my heart.
But that doesn't make me a man. That just means
some
you
ways.
might not have ever been aware that women can experience this hardship too.
No, I'm aware of it.
Women can experience this hardship and heartache too.
Right.
Well, I think there's some things that Pearl is really pretty spot on about. I definitely don't like her style. I don't like the way she says things. And it's not how I would say it, even for ratings, even for views. And if you're watching this, thank you for being here and allowing us to lift you with more positive language.
Let me also say to my brothers out there, to the men, look, I could relate to some of the stuff that Pearl was saying, and I think she makes, frankly, some good points. But keep this in mind too. This was in the early stages following my divorce when I was bitter and jaded and resentful. Do you want to live bitter, jaded, and resentful? If you do, listen to Pearl and say, go girl, and, trash on women.
She'll make you feel real good.
She'll make you feel real good for a moment and turn you into a woman hater. Keep in mind that not all women are the way Pearl says. Certainly, this beautiful woman I married is not the way Pearl says. Be judicious in how much of the stereotype she creates, that women are, hoes and they're all shallow and materialistic and all they want is lifestyle. Ask yourself if it's really true.
Or that none of them have anything to offer because we're just all self-centered and we really don't care about men.
Right. So guys, just remember, Pearl paints with a very broad brush. Take what she says with a grain of salt. There are decent, responsible women out there who will be an equal partner for you. Go out and find that.
So, are women worth it, Jeff, in your opinion?
You're worth it.
Thank you. I appreciate that because you know what? As a woman, I want to be worth it.
Yeah.
And if you tend towards being a woman hater, whether you're a man or a woman, or if you're a woman and you tend to be a man hater and you would find Pearl completely abhorrent, then I think you would really benefit from our Life Design After Divorce course. If that applies to you, if you are divorced and you're feeling a little traumatized by your former and you're kind of starting to hate the opposite sex because of them, come take our class. One of our modules is on honoring the divine masculine and feminine. And it really is very elevating to realize that we have complementary polarities between us as men and women. And that when we work from our strengths and when we show up and we decide how we want to be in a relationship and what we want to offer a partner, then we can end up having a really rich relationship. So if you're interested in taking our 12-week course on life design after divorce, we invite you to visit loveinlateryears.com and sign up for the course. It is available on demand and it will change your life for the better.
So friends, what are your thoughts about Pearl and her opinions? Are women worth it? We want to hear your thoughts. And remember, anytime, is a great time for more love in your life. Even now.
Even now?
Now at this time that Pearl thinks that women are all hoes and stuff like